Donald Trump has suffered the rare judicial smackdown in his classified documents case, with even the conflicted Judge Aileen Cannon being forced to admit that the search warrant that allowed the FBI to raid Mar-a-Lago had been properly granted, and she was not going to dismiss the case because they shouldn't have been there in the first place. You got to hear the reason they gave for her to reject the authorization of the search warrant. But although this is good news, and it is, there's sort of like a black lining to it, so stick around for that as well. But first, understand that Mr. Trump's legal team had asked Judge Cannon to suppress any evidence that had been collected during the raid, which is, I think we all understand, like a very significant part of the case is all of the documents they recovered that he stole. No, the Trump's legal team didn't want any of that to be allowed. That includes the classified documents that he'd been charged with removing. And they say our argument is that agents searched rooms that they had no probable cause to search. And that bears on the question of whether the search was impermissibly broad for Fourth Amendment purposes. They searched the room where the president's son kept his Peloton. Oh no, Barron Trump uses a Peloton? God, these are rich people. But anyway, basically arguing that the warrant, that he shouldn't have been able to go into Barron's room, they shouldn't have been able to go into Melania's room. And just let's stop for a second to bear in mind that Melania has her own room. I'm just saying. But anyway, a federal prosecutor says that in Trump's case, the warrant did allow agents to search Melania and Barron's rooms. Trump had access to those rooms and they could have contained classified documents, particularly when you bear in mind that there is so much evidence that he was trying to avoid these documents being recovered. Remember the secret flight down to Mar-a-Lago that we talked about where he checked in on the boxes? Things were being moved out of Mar-a-Lago to other places. Like he's storing stuff in ballrooms and bathrooms. Does anybody think that he wouldn't have put a box past the Peloton or something? So anyway, this is ridiculous. You are allowed to search in drawers for documents anywhere basically that something of that size could go. You can't search anywhere. You can't search in like a little box for a ring or something, but if it's a place that a folder or a document could be, you are allowed to do that. And so she did not accept that, Aileen Cannon. She also did not accept the arguments that he was making about how the FBI was coming and the intent was to gun him and his family down. That's a ridiculous right-wing conspiracy theory talking point that received short shrift in court as well. Now, as I said, there is sort of a dark lining to this. But at least Aileen Cannon did not accept those arguments, yes. What do you make of this?
Well, that's nice of her. But John, I think you're missing the obvious point that you cannot keep classified documents in the same room as a Peloton. If you don't get that, I don't know what else to tell you. But like beyond that, if you already have classified national security documents that are, in your bathtub or wherever he was keeping them, I think that is just cause to like search the Peloton room, the baby's room, search he's not a baby anymore, the child's room, and, search my wife's room that he has, and they're really grasping at straws here, and it's real. Of course they are. Of course they're going to try everything. We know that Trump tries every argument. He just throws them out there and sees what's going to stick. And he's doing the same thing in court. And he has Judge Aileen Cannon usually on his side, but even this time she's like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Again, he's not a baby. He's a grown man. He's also too grown, honestly. As tall as he is, like, can he even use a Peloton? That just seems like that would be kind of ridiculous. Again, nothing against Barron Trump or whatever, but that seems a little bit ridiculous. But anyway, they're allowed to go in looking for the documents. The idea, they already got away with the FBI never having searched a locked closet in Mar-a-Lago. That's already madness that they didn't go in there. The idea that he could just take the box and just put it in Melania's suite or whatever, and the government can't touch it, that's insane. I noticed he's not complaining about the fact that like Joe Biden's garage was searched. Why you gotta go in there? That's where his car is. Honestly, there probably was an exercise bike in there, knowing Joe Biden.
I mean, why you gotta go in the dining room? That's where the dining room table is. Why would you need to search it there? Like you can say that about anything. It's such a weird argument.
Yeah, and I love that if you have the resources, you are immune from raids if you just put Pelotons in every room in your house.
Peloton in every room.
Exactly. Peloton should get into the legal defense game. But anyway, here's the dark lining. So yes, it's great that after the hearings they had over the plot to kill Trump and the fact that they say that the raid wasn't authorized properly and all that Aileen Cannon finally came back and said no. But here's the issue. They had the hearings and she took a bunch of time to reply to it. and it just drags the whole thing out. And while she's not giving the Trump legal team what they're like explicitly asking for, like, barring the use of that evidence, she is giving them what they're implicitly desiring, which is continued delays. And so honestly, this is kind of a novel strategy. She can just keep talking to them. They come in, they give a BS argument. She thinks about it long and hard in a cushy leather chair for a month, and then comes back and says, no, that was ridiculous. Now come bring me more nonsense. And we can just drag this thing out and drag it out. And I'm not the only one saying that. Former FBI Special Agent Stuart Kaplan says the strategy was to tie up the court as long as possible because they're concerned about the Republican convention and then ultimately the upcoming election in November. They're just trying to hog tie the court system with a flurry of motions so that there's no way that Judge Cannon was going to set the trial date. Ironically, she took it out of their control and she actually said there's going to be no trial at this point. And so, yes, it's good news. She didn't bar the evidence. That's good. But it was in pursuit of giving them what they wanted. And that sucks. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?